All right, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to Two Moms and Some Labels. I am your host, Brittany, and my co host, Nicole, could not join us this evening. She is doing very important things and attending the school board meeting tonight. We have to advocate for our children and stand up for what's right, especially in the public school system. It can be very difficult and challenging, especially for our children that have IEPs, 504s, and such. So she couldn't be with us tonight. So I'm going to take the lead tonight. And I have a great guest here with me. So, Two Moms and Some Labels is a platform created for families and caregivers caring for a child with a disability to come together in a shared space to commune, network, and gain ideas on how to persevere through challenging times. And we all know it's April, right? So April, there is a word for the month that we are focusing on, and that is autism. So April is Autism Awareness Month. And I have a special guest with me that is going to share her journey, her story, and maybe give us some tips and advice on how to keep pushing through dealing with this diagnosis that her child has of autism and kind of explain it a little bit better. And I do want to make a little disclaimer. We are not medical doctors. We are not giving medical advice. We are just giving um, our experience, letting you know what we've been through, maybe what has worked for us, and hoping that we can lead you along the way to help guide you a little bit and make it a little easier for you in this journey. So, with that being said, my special guest, she is a singer, a photographer, a videographer, Bitcoin, crypto coin. I mean, she has a clothing line for autism. I'm just going to let her take it away and introduce herself.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, my dear friend Brittany. And thank you to Moms and Some Labels for having me on. I am so super duper excited. My name is Starfields, and yes, I wear a ton of hats, but I always say I think the most important hat that I wear is, of course, being Gabe's mom. And Gabriel is my son. He was born at 1 pound and 10 ounces, and we went from the NICU to growing up with autism. And I tell you what, it seems like it has been a big blur, and it seems like life has not stopped. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, Brittany, before, with having children that were in the NICU. And then it just seems like the services and everything just keeps going, 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 going. And it's like, when do I take a breath, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's been quite a journey. He was diagnosed with autism at around 2 years old, and I promise you guys, life has not been the same since. Okay, so, but it's been a journey, and I tell you, it really does bring out the best in us.
Yes, definitely. I know that, it is like, I said the other day, I'm like, it's like we're just hit with this big semi truck, like, whoa, and we are not prepared for what is to come. We don't even know, like, we don't have the
Mhm.
tools or anything. So, everything that we talk about and share are things that we have just learned through trial and error, and through maybe
Mhm.
other people that have been along the journey as well or are on the journey. So everybody just working together, giving ideas and sharing, that is how we have learned and been able to survive through this all. So I know that you
Right.
said Gabe, he was diagnosed around 2 years old. So like
Mhm.
what was that process like? Where were you guys? Did the primary care doctor tell you? Like, how did you find out that he had autism?
Okay, so when you have a child that's born premature, we were already like being seen by early steps and everything, because they already expect them to be a little bit delayed because they were born so premature. And so we were already being seen, like I said, by early steps. And and they begin to see that he wasn't meeting some of the milestones that even with his prematurity that other children were meeting. And it took him a little bit longer to crawl and to be able to roll over and to do all those things. But of course, we expected it because he was born at 1 pound 10 ounces at 25 weeks in 3 days. And so we expected, of course, for him to be a little bit delayed, but we never ever we never thought it would be autism, And so but because he was being seen, like I said, he was being seen already by early steps. And so that was one of the good things, that if you are involved or if you have a child that is premature, you're going to be already hopefully getting some type of care or treatment, and they'll be able to notice some things. For other people who are not already being seen, I think it's still going to be the same thing. Like, you might notice that they might not be talking or being imitating or making the eye contact and all and those type of things. And you don't have to wait for primary care. You can address it, bring it up to them if you feel like something is not quite right. I think when it's your first child, though, you just don't know. You just don't know
Right.
what you don't know.
Yeah.
And you just, like, every kid develops in their own time,
Yeah. Yep.
but the key is to definitely get help as soon as possible.
So, you received the diagnosis through early steps, or like, what kind of testing did they do testing?
So because he was already receiving early help through early steps, and they were
Yeah.
already coming out and like working with him with like
So they already
therapy.
had the,
So he was
like,
already, yeah, he was already
assessment
being seen.
done. Okay.
And so our official diagnosis didn't come until like about like between like 18 and 24 months, that
Mhm.
time period. And that's when he started to not make eye contact, when he basically started to pull away, you know what I'm saying? He
Mhm.
was kind of resisting touch a little bit more. And like, not making the eye contact was the biggest thing, and just totally not being engaged, because he
Yeah.
was saying mama cat, ball, dada, bye bye. So we could tell him, grandma's ready to leave, say bye bye, and he would say bye bye, because that's how she taught him to say bye
Oh.
bye, was like in a whisper. So he would
Yeah.
say bye bye in a whisper. And I just wish, what I really wish is that I was into videoing and everything like I am now, because I wish I
Yeah.
would have more of those memories captured. Now I capture almost every single day, but at that
Right.
time, we weren't
Yeah.
capturing every single day. And so but he used to say mama cat, dada, bye bye, ball, and those were some of his words that he was saying. And then it just one day he lost all of his words. Yeah. So yeah, and
Wow.
that's basically it. Yeah, it was just kind of like he got a fever, and then after he got the fever, he just lost all the words that he had, and then he started just having like a blank stare. And so we kind of knew that something wasn't quite right with that. But of course, you
Mhm.
just say, okay, maybe he's not feeling well,
Yeah.
maybe he's tired, maybe whatever, or and then maybe he's just growing through something. He'll grow out of it. Just give it a little bit more time. And that was just a really challenging time, getting them diagnosed. And then the hardest part was, after you get the diagnosis, is like, what do I do now? Because
Mhm.
he's you see them as being so fragile. And then I couldn't find the right place for him to go, because I wanted him to get the social skills. I wanted him to get the things that he needed. But it's like, where do I go? Because there seemed like there wasn't all the daycares were not really equipped for kids
Right.
that had autism. They weren't equipped for kids that were a little behind, or kids that were not potty trained now at this age. You see what I'm saying? So that was
Mhm.
one of the hardest things, is to be able to find the right place for him, and then going through that cycle of putting them in here and paying out of your pocket $1,000 for a
Yeah.
month, because that's how much it costs for them to go, and it's supposed to be the best one, right? And then when you go there, you see your kids sitting out in the heat. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
No teacher out there. You
Oh
know what I'm saying?
gosh.
All by himself. So much for the social
Oh.
skills. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
gosh.
yeah. So it's been a journey. That was the hardest, I think. You get the diagnosis and it's like, now where do I go? Where do I fit
Mhm.
in? Because you just feel like you don't fit in anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah. So, when you had, received the diagnosis, were you by yourself? Did you have family with you?
Oh
How did you
goodness.
guys you take that all in? What were your feelings or thoughts?
Oh my goodness. One of the things that I say sometimes when I'm talking to people is that Gabriel was a twin. And so his twin sister, she only lived for 6 days. So we had already went through the loss of losing one of our children. And when we got the diagnosis, honestly, it was just such a hard blow because we had already been through so much with
Mhm.
preparing for twins and then planning for a funeral and then Gabriel being in the NICU for 97 days and like fighting his way through that. And then just everything that we had to deal with during the NICU process. And then him, literally he's fighting for his life. And so after just such a great fight and you feel like you overcame to get home, then you're like, oh my gosh, we're still in this fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're still in this fight for our life. And so it was really a hard blow, another hard blow that we're still overcoming. You know what I'm saying? We're still
Yeah.
overcoming it. And I remember when they told me he was diagnosed with autism, and this is what the doctor said. He told me that he didn't think he would get any better, and I went to my car. Gabriel was with me. My husband was, we were at the appointment together. And of course, I was strong when I was in there. And then I got
Yeah.
back to that car.
Yeah.
And Gabriel, I put him in the back seat of that car. And I remember I sat in that car and Quentin was on driving on down because he had to go back to work. But I was like, oh my gosh. I cried and cried. I cried all my Mary Kay off. Okay. I
Oh.
cried it all off that day.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
and I sat there, and then I had to just basically encourage myself. I said, Star, whose report will you believe? You're going to believe the report of the Lord. And even though I hear what they say, I still had to believe God. I still had to trust God that He was going to get better. And I
Mhm.
still had to encourage myself. And then I looked in the back seat after I'm all crying, and I look
Yeah.
in the back seat, and there's this kid with all his little gums and his little teeth. He was just as happy. And I'm looking at him crying and he's smiling. I'm like, what is wrong with this picture? And so, that was the first lesson, Brittany, is
Yeah.
when we're crying, they're smiling. And they're the
Right.
ones that should be crying, but they are
Yeah.
not. They're smiling.
Yes.
Me and my husband talk about it every day, how even when we can wake up, you can know how they say you wake up on the wrong side of the bed,
Right.
but
Yeah.
they just wake up and they're happy and they're smiling and they don't have a care in the world. And you're like, oh my gosh, if we just took a few notes from our kids, how
Yes.
much joy would we have? You know what I'm saying? Wake
Yeah.
up smiling. They don't complain about nothing and they are smiling, they're happy. And that's the way we need to be. So that was my first lesson from Gabe. Keep on smiling. And that's what I've tried
Yeah.
to do. I've tried to stay encouraged, encourage myself, and just really, really continue to not have pity parties and to fight the good fight of faith every single day. And that's what it's all about because, every day is different. Some days
Mhm.
are better than others, but it basically comes down to a pity party today, or am I gonna make the best out of it? And that's what we have to do every single day is make the best out of it. So
Right. And, also, your husband, he was in the military, so I'm sure he
mm-hmm,
had deployments and everything like that. So,
mm-hmm,
like, how
uh-huh.
did you deal with that? Were you alone? What
Oh
was
my
that like being
gosh.
a military wife also?
Yeah, I always say I was a single parent with the check. Okay. So praise God for the military check. Praise the Lord. But I was single parent mode because I was by myself here. And the blessing of it was Quentin would come home whenever he could get leave or whatever, because we actually stayed in Jacksonville for Gabriel to be able to continue to receive the ABA services and all of his therapy services. We
Mhm.
chose to stay here while he was in Virginia. And we were taking just trying to stay put because they say that the consistency helps the
Mhm.
children to be able to grow and all that. So we didn't even move to Virginia when Quentin got stationed in Virginia. We stayed here in Jacksonville, and that was one of the sacrifices we made. And my mom actually sacrificed, and she stepped in while Quentin was gone, and just came to be my rock. She helped me with Gabe. She was respite care. She became everything that I needed. So she was my right arm, and continues to just stand by our side and help us with Gabe to this day. Even though my husband now has retired, praise the Lord, he's retired,
Yeah.
so he's home now. And Gabriel's so much bigger, and Gabe's now taller than me and stronger than me, but I don't
Yeah.
tell him, okay? But yeah, but he's putting his home now. But while he was gone, it was very, very challenging. Those were some of the hardest years,
Yeah.
because I always say, now you're home now. He's good now. I said, we done worked with him. We got him good now. He listens now, okay? But those were some of the hardest times, Brittany. Oh my gosh, the hardest times trying to get him when he was running off. We were, he was literally trying to escape, okay? Climbing over
Oh
the fence
gosh.
and doing all
Oh my
kinds of crazy
goodness.
stuff. Yeah, so.
And so, that is something that children with autism, that they deal with, and the term for that is eloping, I believe it's
Eloping.
called.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and there is like a broad spectrum of autism, and there's different type of you know ways that children show their autism, or different characteristics rather
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
autism and how they show that. So, with the eloping, how did you handle that? Have you ever been in like a serious situation with that, where like the authorities had to get involved, or people may have been like, oh my gosh, like, whose child is this, or why aren't you controlling your child?
Oh my goodness. So never where the authorities had to get involved. Praise the Lord for that. But we have had him, I'm telling you, he has like calculatedly like put the trampoline right next to the fence so he could climb on the trampoline, then climb on whatever was on top of there to climb over the fence. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So he literally like strategically planned it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But what eloping does, it really puts a fear into the parents, and it basically makes you stay on your toes at all times. It's like we have no room for error, especially when the children are nonverbal. It's even scarier to me because they can't even tell you who they are. So it's always like you're double checking yourself. You always making sure you lock the doors, that you lock everything behind you when you come in, when you go out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Everything. Anytime you go anywhere, if you're going to school, if you're going to church, no matter where you're going, you have to make sure that they're gonna not run away. And
Yeah.
eloping is a nice word for it, but really is they're running away. And some of these kids, they start running and they don't stop. Okay, so we are so blessed we never had to get the authorities involved. But one of my funniest memories is, I think it was like our first family cafe, and Gabriel had took off running. And you know how many people are at the family cafe? Shout out to
Uh-huh.
the family cafe, the largest disability conference in the country. Okay, so we were down there at our first conference, and Gabriel took off running through all those people. And
Oh
guess
my
what?
goodness.
Guess who caught him? It
The
was Dan there, and we said,
who?
"Stop that kid!"
Oh gosh.
Dan Marino. He's a famous
Oh my
football player,
goodness.
I think from Miami,
Wow.
and his
Yeah.
son has autism. So we were like, "Stop
Oh
that
wow.
kid!" And that was like, I think that was our first family cafe. And I think they like grabbed him because he was running right towards them. And then we were like, "Can we get a picture?" you know. So, but that was one of our first conferences with the
Yeah.
family cafe, and Gabriel took off running, and that's one of the things that let me know that children, I know some children need wheelchairs because they can't walk, but then some
Mhm.
children need wheelchairs because they can run too fast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it
Yeah.
let me see wheelchairs from a whole different angle, because at first I didn't want one for Gabe, but then I'm like, I need one for Gabe, especially when we go to Disney World, and anytime that we're in large crowds of people. It's a great tool for safety.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, talking about the eloping and, people getting ideas, because I know people are just quick to like assume things, or, think that they can tell other people how to raise their children, or what they
Mm-hmm.
should or shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
doing, because they're, not at this milestone or that milestone,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't really know everything in full detail, the background part
Right.
of what's going on. So, are there any like misconceptions or like remarks that you have ever gotten about autism, or your child in public, someone saying to you, or
Oh my gosh. Oh wow, so many steers over the years. Oh my gosh, it's actually I can tell you so many remarks that I've gotten. I just have had to get a thicker skin to where
yeah.
it doesn't affect me as much anymore. But let's talk about the eloping first. I'm going to tell you
Okay.
a remark that I got, and I think you know which one I'm going to tell you about because I
Okay.
you commented on it whenever I had put a video out about it before. But let's talk about the eloping and just like misconceptions. So sometimes we see children with like those little backpacks on
Mhm.
with the little teddy bear. It looks like a teddy bear, but then it has a little strap on there. And I remember not knowing what I don't know, but I know it now. I was like, why would kids have to, why do parents have to put those on their kids? Those look like leashes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Praise the Lord for those leashes now. Okay. That has been such a blessing to me. But I have heard it people say all kinds of smart remarks about those. I wouldn't even take my kid out if I had to put one of those on him and blah 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 blah
Mhm.
blah. We don't have to use those on our kids and blah. I mean, you hear all kinds of stuff, and you just like, wow, they just don't know. They have no clue. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you can't even get mad at people that have no clue. That's why I love what you're doing here with your show, as Two Moms and Some Labels, educating, because that's what we need to do more of is educate because people
Mhm.
can they're just so like one side they're one track minded, you know,
Yeah.
they only see things from their own perspective if they've never had to deal with it, you know. And so you hear those stories, and then whenever when it was time for me to get like one of those little teddy bear backpacks for Gabe, I was like, I don't want to put this on him because I heard so many people say he look like dog leashes. I don't want people to think I,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I don't want people to think I'm putting my kid as a dog, you know, all this stuff. You start thinking all this crazy stuff, but you know what you have to do? You have to do what's best for you and your
Yeah.
situation. And I tell you what, I put that little bear backpack on Gabe with pride. I was going back through some pictures today, and I remember when I had to put that little bear backpack on Gabe. And guess what? You don't have to do it forever. Okay?
Right.
You do it when you have to do it. And as they get older and they learn their boundaries, guess what, guys? I don't have to still use a backpack for Gaby. Now he can stand
Mhm.
right by mommy. He puts his hand on my shoulder. He's right with me. He doesn't try to run away anymore. They do grow out of different things. But you have to
Mhm.
start where you got to start at and don't be
Right.
ashamed to get the help or use the tools that you need at that time. So that's what the little backpack. I've heard all kinds of stuff, people saying stuff about those little backpacks. But one of the one of the worst comments that I've ever got was when we were at Golden Corral
Mhm.
and I had to take Gaby into the bathroom because he's not potty trained. And the lady told me in the bathroom, and the bathroom was full of people, right? And she sees me in there with his pull up, and I had to pull up, and I was bringing him in the women's bathroom because I can't go in the men's bathroom.
Yeah.
And she says, he's not potty trained yet. He must not be getting no home training. This is what she said to me. And I know she probably wouldn't have said it if she would have known that he had
Mhm.
special needs. But
Yeah.
because he doesn't, you can't look at a child with autism and say he has autism. You can't look, you
Mhm.
know, they don't really have characteristics that say autism or whatever, like some other disabilities do. And so, guess what? She said that comment to me in front of the whole bathroom full of people, probably like 10 or 15 people in the bathroom. And I was just like, so I have to be respectful because mommy told me to be respectful, right? I'm never going to be disrespectful or mean, even when that's what's given to me. I try to kill it with kindness. And so I said, ma'am, I know you might not know this, but this is Gabriel. He has autism. and we've been working on him to get potty trained, but he has special needs, and so he just hasn't been able to do that quite yet. But he's learning, and so she was like, "Oh," and she felt so bad. And then people were like,
Mhm.
People need to mind their own business. She shouldn't have said nothing like that." You know what I mean? And they felt
Yeah.
bad about what she said, and then I kind of felt bad. I'm like, "Gosh, this lady just fronted me off in front of the whole the whole full of people." But those are other ignorant things. And what do you have to do?
Uh-huh.
Educate,
Right.
educate, educate,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And just keep on keeping on and keep smiling and keep on doing the best we can. We can't let that stuff throw us through a loop. I mean, I might have shed a tear or two, but I can't cry
Mhm.
too long, Brittany, because I gotta take care of Gabe. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
And you
yeah.
know what, that is, and that's what I love about you is that you are just
Mhm.
so positive,
Mhm.
and you just like always know the right way to approach situations, or go about handling different situations. And like you were saying, with some of our children or some disabilities, it's, apparent, obvious that they have a
Mhm.
disability. Like,
Mhm.
my daughter has CP, she's in a wheelchair. So you can
Mhm.
see that she has her disability, and we
Mhm.
still get the stares and everything like that, because now it's like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
they're in this wheelchair. I've never seen, you know, a child in a wheelchair. Why does she
Mhm.
look like that? Why is she, and then when you do have a child that is, able to walk, and you can't tell the disability from the outside, then I feel like it is very different, and you will get more comments and remarks about,
Mhm.
your child, because all they're seeing is this, they think it's, a typical child, and they don't know what
Mhm.
is, going on beyond that. So,
They
you know,
don't know.
I
Exactly.
never, yeah, I never, like really thought about it so deeply like that. Like, okay, I have a child and I get upset. I used to get upset when people would stare at her in her wheelchair, and they wouldn't
Mhm.
make really remarks. But when you have a child that looks typical, then they're making remarks, and you hear them, and you have, to be able to have that tough
Mhm.
skin. And I can tell you, even when I got the stairs with Ayana, her wheelchair, back then, a long time ago, I would
He's
be
like,
so upset, and I'd be like, excuse me, can I help you? Okay. I'm like,
I
I
know.
would be having an attitude, and I would not approach a
I bet
situation
you
like
was
you
getting with
did.
them.
And I definitely did not approach the situation like you did, because I have always been
You
like
was getting with them, Brittany.
a defensive, type of person on the defense.
Mhm.
And so I've learned over the years, and I'm just like, you know what? I need to educate them. These people, they just
Mhm.
need some education. That's all. That's
They
what it
don't
is.
know.
So
Yeah.
I can't get upset about someone, not taking the time to want to learn, instead of
Mhm.
just, staring and not saying anything at all, or making comments. It's just like a learning lesson. And so, I've learned how to better handle those situations. And
Mhm. That's
and
right.
so so, it's much better now, but yes, back in the day,
Mhm.
Ayana's mommy, yes, I would have been probably not saying some nice words to people. But so what advice would you give to other parents that have received an autism diagnosis, and they're just starting on this journey?
I would tell them that they are not alone. I would tell them to find other moms and other communities, and other families that are dealing with autism and other um, special needs, because then you really don't feel alone. And just the fact that, we have our community, we have our school, since I've met all of you beautiful families, and since God has brought all of you guys into our lives via our school and just the community that we have, I've never felt alone since. It's just such a great feeling when you know you've got those other women that are going through the same thing. And I know I can call you anytime I have a question about anything. And if you can't help me, you're going to point me in the right direction. And just that community, Brittany, it is something powerful about community. And it takes away the feeling of feeling alone, and we're able to share resources with one another that can save you so much time and so much stress and so many tears and heart, so much heartache. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the community is just is amazing. And that was one of the best things that has to me that I've been able to help with is as far as with our school. Shout out Sunlight Christian Academy, but our school is a blessing because to help so many other families that typically felt alone. And we are a powerhouse women. When I think about some of the women that we are around, I mean, just think about it. You guys are doing something. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're writing books over here, Brittany, and Kimberly's opening gyms. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just amazing. Some of the
Yeah.
things that we are accomplishing as moms, and we have so many talented moms on our just in our inner circle that they're doing so much. So I just love it. And they all have a wealth of knowledge, and they have different kids with different diagnoses. And so they can help you with something. One can't help you, another can't. So that's my advice to the parents is just get connected to other people that are just like you,
Mhm.
and don't feel sorry for yourself. And don't
Yeah.
get mad if you don't get invited to the birthday parties anymore because, they don't invite you anymore to the birthday parties or whatever because their kids are, you know, they've grown up and they've made their own friends or whatever. So you don't have to get upset or be upset about that anymore. Just develop your own tribe of families that you can grow with, and your kids can grow up together. And it's made a world of different lives.
Yeah, and I know that something that I have noticed in the community, and I can say also too, like being having Ayana when I was younger, and not really knowing a lot, not being like educated enough. And like you were saying, when you have your first child, it's like you don't know what you don't know. You don't know because this is your first
Mm-hmm.
child. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I know I have always tried to do, and I wish I could do more of, or find a way to reach out to the younger community of parents that are, that have children or are having children,
Mm-hmm.
and they are having this autism diagnosis or some type of developmental delay, because I have been coming across a lot of younger parents, and they have children that have some delays going on, but the parents are like having a hard time coming to terms. I feel like we all
Mm-hmm.
have that, where it's hard for us to admit, like, my child may have, a delay, my child may have something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I need help. And, it's kind of like brushing it off, like, no, they'll get it, well,
Mm-hmm.
they're just, delayed right now, but they're going to get it at their own pace and time, like you said at the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, we keep pushing it off and pushing it off, and then it's like, especially during those first 5 years where it's so crucial for
Mm-hmm.
them to be
Mm-hmm.
receiving the education and those developmental skills, they're missing
Mm-hmm.
out on that piece during that time. And I wish there was a way to be able to reach out to more of the younger community and let them know that there is support and that it is okay if your child is delayed, that there's
Right.
resources, and people are here to help. And you don't have to feel ashamed, and this is your child, and you can stand in your skin, and you're doing this for your child, it's not for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I really would like
Right.
to be able to reach out to the younger community and give them this information and hope that they would receive it. And so, has there been any resources that have helped you more than others, or that have been your go-to, or um, in your journey? Or like, how have you been able to find the resources? Even with just not only autism, but with any type of developmental disability, or um, anything that the children have going on.
Okay, well, I love what you said, Brittany, because one of the things that we do, especially in our community, is we do brush a lot of stuff off, and we'll say, "Oh, ain't nothing wrong with them. They just go, just put them with, put them with his cousins, or whatever." You know what I'm saying? Or they'll say stuff
Mhm.
like, and they don't mean any harm. You know what I mean? you know, take them to place and just put them in with the regular kids, and because you really want them to catch, you really want them to be able to catch
Mhm.
up and to be able to not be treated any different, right? And
Yeah.
I love the title of your show, Two Moms and Some Labels, because labels are the thing that helps you get the services that you need. But it's the exact thing that a lot of people don't want to be. Nobody wants to
Right.
be labeled, right? And
Mhm.
so it's like you have to get the label to get the services that you need, but at the same time, nobody wants to be labeled. But praise the Lord, just because you're labeled as something today doesn't mean that that's what you're going to be tomorrow. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Or even
Yes.
if you are, it
Yes.
doesn't mean that it can't get any better for you. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I think we are afraid of being labeled. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I think we have to get that out of our head and know that you've got to get the services and the help that you need. And you have to know that it's out there. And when you know that it's out there, you got to tap into where can I go get help at. And there's all kinds of things that are happening with even within our own city. I know the city of Jacksonville is starting to do more disability expos, and you can go there and get tons of resources. We were there last year. We had a table set up, of course, with our autism awareness apparel, but there's all kinds of expos, and there's so many groups and Facebook groups and this, that, or the other on every side of town that you can get connected to.
Yeah.
I know you have a Facebook group, and we at one time were doing a radio program where we were giving out
Yeah.
information and had different people coming on. So there's always something going on where you can get information. One of the I love the Family Cafe because it's the largest disability conference in the country. It's held right
Mhm.
in Orlando. And ever since I got connected to the Family Cafe, I say we have been going up, 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 okay? Because
Okay. Yeah.
I've never seen so many resources in one spot in my life. They have over 200 breakout sessions, and this is going to be the 25th year for the Family Cafe. But I'm just saying, when I went to the Family Cafe for the first time, I had never seen anything like it. Like a huge ballroom full
Yeah.
of resources, 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 resources. And a lot of those resources are free. Okay,
Mhm.
all you have to do is show up. And did
Yep.
you know your insurance can pay for you a bed, uh, wheelchairs that move up and down? I mean, swimming chairs. I mean, there's so many things your insurance can pay for that they will pay for if it's written properly that you don't even know you can qualify for because you don't go to conferences. And I say, if you have a child with a disability, or
Mhm.
which we call them unique abilities or whatever, if these child is a little bit ahead with in these different areas, go to where the resources are. And if they're there,
Right.
that's where you need to be. And that's why I strive to go to these things every time I
Mhm.
can. Since I found out about the Family Cafe, I haven't missed a year because it's just that impactful to me. Um, it has been from the very beginning. The bicycle that Gabriel has today, I saw the vision of it at like our second or third Family Cafe of us being able to ride side by side on this bicycle, and I wasn't able to get it at that time, but I was able to see it and say that's what I want for my son. And in 3 or 4 years, I was able to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I even found out that insurance would even pay for that. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Mhm.
after I paid for it, but later it was paid for it. But I mean, just things like that. There's resources. Our children can ride bikes. They give them away for free. Do you know
Yeah.
where to go get your bike at? Do you know how? Do you have a physical therapist that will write you a prescription? I mean, right? They're giving away bicycles to children with special needs for free every
Yeah.
year. They're giving away. Do you have one? Is your name on the list so you can get on the list? And do you know that they give you a new bicycle every time the kid grows out of that bicycle? They can get a new bicycle.
Mm.
It's like there's
Yeah.
resources out there, guys, and
Yeah.
there's no reason for your kid not to have a bicycle with a pretty red helmet. Okay. So it's no
Yeah.
reason why they don't get that. They can get swimming lessons for free because they don't call it swimming lessons, they call it aquatic therapy. You add a therapy at the end, insurance pays for it. And and our kids are able to now get swimming lessons so they can be safe in the water, so they can float, which is sensory for, especially for my son. The aquatic therapy was very sensory for him. They get to
Mhm.
learn how to ride horses, and they call it hippotherapy. Do you see what I'm saying? And it really helps to calm them. It helps to do all kinds of different things. That all falls under physical therapy. So it's like you got to find the resources that are out there, figure out which ones you want to tap into that you think that your child could benefit from. And even if you don't think they can benefit from it, try it anyway, because
Yeah.
you never know which ones they're going to really like and that they're going to respond to. So, and I can give you guys this example with the water. I love the water, like, to look at. I think it's beautiful, but I'm not a swimmer. But I couldn't put my fear of not being able to swim in the deep water on Gabriel. I didn't want to put that on him. And I really wanted him to learn how to swim because, we're in Florida. There's all these
Mhm.
retention ponds, water everywhere. And Gabriel loves water. I mean, he will literally, like, jump in the water. Like, he would jump in the water. And I've seen him do it. I just thank God it was a kiddie pool and not a deep pool.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? When he did, I was like, no, jump. You know what I'm saying? So that's another time when he eloped,
Oh.
right? So, but and I was calling them. I knew, those are all little things. So you see, you're like, you're gonna get some swimming lessons. So one of the best things that we did, we got connected with Miss Eileen Davies. She she taught aquatic therapy, physical therapy. She also did hippotherapy with Gabe too. But Gabe did really well with the water. And you would not believe, after hearing all this time, when you have a child with special needs, the teachers always tell you he's behind, he's behind. And you just hear this stuff all the time. You're like, oh my gosh, they just keep on trying to make me feel like my kid's not capable to learn these different things.
Uh-huh.
He just doesn't learn that way. You know what I'm saying? So you
Right.
get sick of hearing he's behind. But when I took him to aquatic, what she came and told me? Gabriel was my star student for the month.
Ooh.
I was like,
All
Gabriel was your star
right,
student.
Kate.
Oh, I mean, I could have cried. He did better than everybody. He made the most progress out of everybody. I was like,
Wow.
oh my God. I was so happy because finally, I'm like, somebody sees it. I knew he had all this excellence in him. They didn't see it with writing and arithmetic and reading, but he can swim. Okay. And so I was just
Okay.
so happy. You know what I'm saying, Brittany? When somebody
Mhm.
else sees the greatness that you see in your kid, it was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. And so there, that's the thing. We tapped into the thing that he was good in. He
Right.
loves water. We tapped into the water. Okay, we're gonna be at this. That's very important. That's a very important therapy for him because he loves the water. It relaxes him, it calms him. And so that's been a huge part of our journey in his development, as well as just being able to tap into the things that he loves. He loves water. So aquatic therapy has been a blessing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you guys hear it here first that there are so
Mm-hmm.
many resources out there, especially with the social media outlets available. I mean, all you have to do is
Mm-hmm.
type in a keyword and you can find anything on Google
Anything.
search, on TikTok, on Instagram. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
AI can even tell you something now
Chat GPT.
with all of this technology going on.
Mhm.
So there are so many resources, and you don't have to be afraid to tap into those. You don't have to be afraid to step into what your journey may be or may not be. Like Star said, just because it's this day they've been labeled that or been given this or that, that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that tomorrow is going to be that.
That's right.
So,
That's
you have to just go with your heart, go with your gut, and take that leap of faith, and take what you have around you and run with it.
yes.
Use the resources. There are free
Mhm.
resources. They are there for a reason. So do not miss out, because you're not hurting anyone in the end but your child.
That's
So,
right.
we want to see them be great, because just because the doctor may have diagnosed them with X, Y, and Z, that does not mean that is what they're going to be or continue to be.
Amen.
And
Mhm.
so, before we leave off of the podcast, I wanted to talk about a couple things that you have going on. And first, I wanted to talk about Sunlight Christian Academy, because we have been so blessed to be able to find this school and be a part of this school. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about Sunlight Christian Academy, how it was founded, and
Mhm.
if people are interested, if they can enroll, or how that works.
Well, we are a small private school for children with special needs. And I like to say that we kind of get the kids that fall through the crack, you know what I mean? The ones that really don't benefit from being in a big, huge classroom in public school. So our school is really small, and we founded it together, me, my business partner Loretta, and my business partner Suzanne. We were just together as some moms and grandmas, right? And we were sitting around a big table, and we were just trying to figure out what we can do to provide a safe place for our kids to be able to go to school. And when we started it, it was just going to be the three of us with our three kids. Actually, that's what it was. It was just the three of us with Loretta's grandson, and my son, and Gabe and Suzanne's son. And that's what it was. And then who would have thought that it would continue to grow and grow and grow and grow? And we're still a small school, but we are able to be a blessing to about almost 20 families right now. And we it's just awesome. We do a lot. I believe that we meet the students at the point of their need, and that we're able to help them right where they're at. And nobody's comparing anybody to anybody else. I love that. Don't try to make my apple an orange. We're going to make delicious apple juice over here, and we are going to have the best time doing it. And that's exactly what we do at Sunlight Christian Academy. Everybody gets to grow and learn at their own pace. And so I love our school. And if they want more information on Sunlight Christian Academy, you can just go to sunlightchristianacademy.com. That's SONLIGHT, Sunlight with the SON. Yeah. So
Yes, and I
sunlightchristianacademy.com.
also yeah, Sunlight Christian Academy, guys. And that is
Mm-hmm.
SON. And I just also wanted to make sure that, also that it is a private school. So you do have to have the scholarship, the Gardner
Mm-hmm.
or Unique Abilities Scholarship,
Step up.
um,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Step Up for Students Scholarship, in order to
Mm-hmm.
be able to attend a private school in Florida, when you have a child with
Right.
disabilities. I mean, or you can, have your typical child. The scholarships are available for anyone, but for the private school, you do have to have the scholarship. And then
Right.
also, you have a clothing line. And so,
I
where can
do.
your designs be found and
Yeah,
purchased?
you were talking about like earlier with you having a child that looks nothing's wrong, but then they come in the restaurant and they scream at the top of their lungs, ah! You know what I'm saying? And then everybody stares at you, and I'm always like, autism awareness. So Gabriel, I say, you might not know he has autism, but you'll hear him, okay? Because he gets
Yes.
really, really loud. And so I just said, you know what? I'm tired of making these disclaimers. Let me just get some clothes that say it for me. And so we have the puzzle piece dresses. We have the leggings, the shirts, and we just got the earrings. And I'm super excited because one of our students at our school, and I'll call her my business partner, and she actually is designing the earrings exclusively for our
Wow.
all things autism store. So you
Oh
see
my
they match the puzzle pieces
gosh.
on my dress perfectly. And they just really they bring the outfit all together. Okay. So
Yeah,
that's
that is
www
amazing.
yeah, all things autism.store, www.allthingsautism.store. So we have the leggings, the earrings, we have the dresses, and then they're also available on Amazon. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna have to go to Amazon or go to
Mm-hmm.
their website and purchase
Mm-hmm.
some items. And is there anything else that you have going on that you want to share before
I just
we?
want to remind you guys, yeah, the Family Cafe is going to be June 9th, 11th. And I love the Family Cafe. Like I said, there's so many resources. There's over 200 breakout sessions this year. And on the call I was just on, there's already over 8,700 people who registered. This is going to
Wow.
be a big one because this is the 25th year anniversary. So it's June 9th through 11th at the Hyatt Regency in Orlando. And they have hotels at Hyatt. They're going to be having hotels at Roslyn Plaza. But it's the best place to be to get resources for you, your family members. If you have a child or a family member with any type of disabilities, you want to get there so you can get any resources that you need. I love it every year. It's a blessing, and I come back more and more empowered every single time I go. So I love the Family Cafe, and I always talk about it because it really is one of the things that inspired me to like want to share more and more and more. And I feel like exactly like that's what you're doing with your winning with autism.
Mhm.
That's what we want to do. We want to win
Yes.
with no
Yes.
matter what no matter what the disability is. You got to figure out a way to win every single day. You have to figure out a way to pep yourself up, and like I said, not have a pity party and make that decision every single day that it is going to be a winning day. I'm not going to stay in the bed and pull the covers back over my head. And if you wanted to, your kids aren't going to let you do it anyway because they got needs. Okay. You got to take
Right.
care of them. But you can't have a pity party, you guys. And so you have to decide every single day that you're going to win. And I love that. I have a song called Ready to Win. I wrote it
Yes.
for Gabe because it took him 18 months to learn how to put a ball in a container. And I remember when the Lord gave me that song, I was like 18 months to put a ball in a container. We worked with those early steps people all that time trying to teach him how to put that ball in. He still couldn't put it in. And finally, one day, we could say, "Put it in, Gabe." And guess what? He could do it. And now he's still putting things in. So we go to the grocery store, we go to Walmart, we go to any place to get something to eat or buy groceries. And guess what? He knows how to do. He knows how to throw everything in that basket. Okay, he's throwing
Okay.
everything in the basket now. So those skills do transfer, and they do grow
Yes.
up, and they do get better. So never ever give up, you guys.
Right, because we are the parents and we are talking about winning with autism, but guess what? Our
Mhm.
children are also winning. And just because they
Mhm.
have been given this diagnosis, just because they may have been delayed and it may have taken several years to get down a skill of putting
Mhm.
something in the basket, guess what? They
Mhm.
will still win in the end and they can still make it through to the other side. So,
Yes. Yes.
with that being said, I hope that you were able to take away some information and just, give you some inspiration to just get out
Mhm.
there and, find the resources that you need and just do what you can to make your life better, your child's life better, and know that there are ways to be able to succeed, even though you may have been given this diagnosis, you can still win in the end. And
Mhm.
I want to thank Star Field so much for coming on Two Moms and Some Labels and just sharing her story, her journey, and how she continues to persevere on. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. And we will see you next time on another episode of Two Moms and Some Labels.